In this video, let's show you how to prepare your Happy embroidery machine generally for sewing to keep in the most ready condition so that when running individual jobs that you have the least amount of preparation needed to get going. First thing we'll do is do a bobbin check. So open the bobbin case door, remove the bobbin case, and we want to make sure that the bobbin is in there and also properly threaded. And also do a quick tension check to make sure that the correct tension is here. There is a separate video on following this procedure. Do a short drop test, pass the bobbin thread through the pigtail at the 12 o'clock position, reinsert the bobbin case, and it's very important that when you reinsert it that you push it in all the way. That last little bit with a click tells you that the bobbin is locked in the correct position. Close the bobbin case door, and that takes care of the bobbin thread. Now let's talk about the upper thread. So the first thing you want to do is start from one end of the machine and go to the other, and make sure, of course, that they're all threaded. Make sure everything's threaded properly. Pull the thread out from whether it's either the front spring where it is or from the back thread holder assembly. Pull it downwards and make sure that as you're pulling the thread downwards that it's not getting caught, and then it feels smooth. Make sure that the lower tensioner, its wheel is turning. So for every quarter inch, every little bit that the thread feeds through, it causes that lower wheel to turn. Also, this black rubber wheel, make sure it also turns so that for every little bit of thread that feeds, that turns very easily. Finally, we'll do a quick check on the tensioners. You can release the upper tensioner. First, feel the tension on that thread and what it feels like, and then lift up on the disc, and that should release the tension. And if everything's working, this should now feel lighter. Let go and let it snap back into place, and it should feel tight again. Do the same thing with the plastic collar at the base of the lower tensioner. Continue pulling and getting a sense of what the tension feels like. Lift up on that collar, which causes that to release the tension. The tension should feel looser, and let it drop, and it should now feel tighter. This does several things at once. Number one, it makes sure that just by feel you can tell that they're properly threaded and working. And number two, you're making sure that they're properly seated so that they are applying the correct tension. Doing this test, it's worth the trouble to make sure that everything's threaded correctly since the last time that you used the machine, to help you guarantee that this thread is now ready and will sew a high quality stitching from the very beginning all the way to the end. Once you're done doing this check, take that thread tail and tuck it into the front spring, and take a pair of scissors or nippers and cut it down to about a little quarter to a half inch excess tail and leave it in the spring. Do not ever leave any of these threads, even if you're not going to use them, hanging free. Every one of the colored threads ends should be tucked into the spring or tucked into the back in the thread holder assembly. They should not hang freely. So we'll continue to do this until all of the threads are tested. And once again, you want to go over this for the first time that you've set up the machine, or if you're coming to use the machine blind and have no idea what condition it's in. You're just basically preparing the machine for use, and also as a courtesy for the next day's shift, leaving it in condition where they can just basically start up with a minimum number of things to do to get it up and running. Once all 12 of your threads are pulled through correctly and into your front spring, and your tensioners checked, your thread brake sensor wheels checked that they're all turning, then you're done with the upper thread portion of your basic check. Finally, one last check is that you can do this with the machine on or off, but don't move this arm with the machine on. Check to make sure that the tubular arm is nice and tight. Make sure that these two thumb screws are tight, a little bit past finger tight, so that they don't come loose after hours of sewing. And that concludes your general setup check for your